If you are needing some help and inspiration on how to create your homeschool timeline, you have come to the right place. Today I'm going to walk you step by step through the simple process of creating your own homeschool timeline. Hi, welcome to Born for Homeschool. If you're new here, my name is Rachel Bourne, and here at Born for Homeschool we share tips and tricks, information, and encouragement to simply support your homeschool. I am the wife of Daniel and the mother of 4 kiddos ages 2 through 10. Today I'm going to walk you through how to do a homeschool history timeline. Now, if you saw my homeschool curriculum 2021-2022 video, then you know that our family's history curriculum for this year is the Mystery of History Volume 1. And in the Mystery of History Volume 1, there are specific instructions on how to create your own timeline if that's something that you want to do for your homeschool. And that was definitely something I wanted to do. However, I have been putting off this project for weeks now because I have been so nervous about doing this. I thought it would take so long and I thought it would be so complicated, and I finally decided I'm doing it today. So I'm going to walk you through the step-by-step process and how simple and easy it was to get this timeline done. So step number 1 in creating a timeline is to gather your supplies. And the supplies I needed for our timeline are 1 foldable pattern cutting board, 2 rolls of contact paper, 1 roll of duct tape, and if you want to have the option of keeping your timeline folded and closed, you're going to also need a yard of ropey cord or ribbon and a foot of clear adhesive tape. The tools that you'll need to make this are a yardstick and scissors. So the things I gathered for our timeline are the Dritz brand of the foldable pattern cutting board, and I just got this off of Amazon. I'll put a link in the description box below if you would like to check out any of these supplies or want to look at what exactly they are. I chose the Dritz one because it was larger in size. It's about 40 by 72. I also got a roll of duct tape, and I chose black because I wanted it to go with the patterns I chose for our contact paper. I got 2 rolls of contact paper. Only one is actually like contact paper brand. The other one is just this easy liner. I think I picked this contact paper up, I think at Walmart. And I think this brand I got from maybe Home Depot or Lowe's. And I just chose a pattern, like this wood looking pattern. You can choose any pattern that you want for your timeline board. Some people choose like a marble looking pattern, so that you may want that. And I didn't choose any sort of materials for a closure. I may want to add that later, but I'm planning to keep our timeline mounted on our wall, so I don't really see a need for needing to close it, but I might add that later if I decide that that's a need. And then next I have scissors and a yardstick for the project. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing you need to do is to lay the pattern cutting board open on the floor. Then you just take the adhesive paper and measure the length that you need it to fit across the width of the board, just the shorter side of the board. And I left a little extra on the ends, and then I started attaching the contact paper to the board. So I have never attached contact paper to anything before, so this was definitely a first for me, and it was much easier than I thought it was going to be. After the first few strips of attaching, reattaching, readjusting, pulling up and putting back down, I realized that if I only peeled back the first little bit of paper, the backing off the first bit of paper, and then unrolled it as I went along. You'll see here in the 3rd strip that I do this. It was easier for me to get it straight. I do wish that I had overlapped it a little bit more so that it gave me a little bit more wiggle room as I attach the contact paper to the board. So once you're done with the first side, then you just flip it over and use the contact paper for the other side. This is the second roll of contact paper. I used one roll for one side and most of the second roll for the second side. And this is the actual contact brand contact paper. And I found that there didn't seem to be too much of a difference between the two brands. They both were pretty easy to work with, and contact paper brand may be a little bit thinner. It also seemed like maybe it was a little bit easier to reposition, but both brands worked really well. So I would start by just peeling off a corner and just a small strip of the backing paper, positioning the front of it and smoothing it out to attach it to the board, and then slowly pulling off the back as I smoothed the paper onto the board. So by the end of attaching the contact paper to the board, I had become pretty comfortable with the process. Just cutting the piece of adhesive paper to the correct size, and then slowly peeling off the back while smoothing the adhesive to the board. So once the board was completely covered in the adhesive paper, then I just trimmed off the edges to make it a little bit more of a clean edge. Next, it was time to measure for the timeline strips to go across the board. So when you open up the board now that's covered in paper, you will have 6 panels, and I just measured down 2.5 inches from the top of the panel, and then again 7 inches from the top of the panel. And each one of those measurements I then used as the top line for my duct tape. Because the yardstick couldn't fit the entire width of the board, I went ahead and marked a mark in the middle and then a mark on each edge. And then I simply took the yardstick and drew a pencil line across my marks. As you'll see, there was a couple of times that I had to peel up and then readjust the duct tape, and that worked really well. I didn't seem to have a problem with that. I was just really careful as I did it, not to tear the contact paper. All right, so then once that process of attaching my duct tape to the board was completed, I just trimmed off the edges to make it a nice clean edge for our timeline board. So our timeline is completed. Ta-da! Now, I'm really happy with how it turned out. However, I may end up adding a way to close our timeline board because as wonderful as it actually is huge. And so I might want to have the option of closing it up, folding it up, and putting it away. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope you found this video helpful as you look to put together your own history timeline for your homeschool. Don't forget to subscribe to Born for Homeschool for more tips and tricks, information, and encouragement for your homeschool. And I will see you again in the next video.